Jeffrey, a mild-mannered, middle-aged Brit, was visiting California for the first time. After a few touristy stops and a rather disappointing fish and chips, he decided to explore the local culture. He wandered into a well-known brothel in the red light district. The madam welcomed him warmly and sent over a bubbly young lady to keep him company. They chatted, laughed, and had a drink. She sat on his lap, and then he leaned in and whispered something in her ear. She gasped, bolted upright, and ran off like her knickers were on fire. The madam, unfazed, sent over a more seasoned professional. Confident and poised, she sat with Jeffrey. More chatting, more giggling, another drink, lap-sitting. And once again, Jeffrey leaned in and whispered. Her eyes widened in horror. "Absolutely not!" she snapped and stormed off. Now intrigued, the madam decided it was time to send in the big guns, Lola. Lola had seen everything, done everything, and never turned down a client. If anyone could handle Jeffrey, it was her. She joined him. They laughed, drank, and frolicked, the whole brothel routine. She sat in his lap. Jeffrey leaned in, and even Lola jumped up, yelled, "Hell no!" slapped him, and left. At this point, the madam had to know what on earth this polite British man was asking that drove her entire staff to flee. With a wry smile and the curiosity of a veteran, she approached him herself. "All right, sir. I don't usually do this anymore," she purred, "but I'm the best we've got." They chatted, giggled, and drank, and she too finally settled on his lap. Jeffrey leaned forward and, in his crisp London accent, whispered, "Would you mind terribly if I paid in pounds?" The store manager was giving final instructions to a brand new sales clerk before sending him out on the floor for the first time. "Now listen carefully," the manager said. "No matter what, you never tell a customer we don't have something. Got it? If we're out of stock, say we'll get it. If we have to buy it from a competitor and have it delivered, so be it. But never say, we don't have it. Loyalty matters." The clerk nodded, determined to impress. A few hours later, the manager decides to check in. As he approaches, he hears the clerk say to a woman at the counter, quite clearly, "No, ma'am, we haven't had it for ages." Alarmed, the manager rushes over. "Actually, ma'am," he says with a big smile, "we do have it. And I'll have it delivered to your doorstep by this afternoon." The customer blinks in confusion. The manager quickly pulls the clerk aside and hisses, "What the hell are you doing? What did I tell you? Never tell a customer we don't have it. What was she asking for?" The clerk shrugs and replies, "Nothing. She just said, we haven't had any rain lately. Good luck delivering that, boss." A homeless man is standing on a street corner with a cardboard sign when a wealthy lawyer walks by. "Excuse me, sir," the man says. "Could you spare some change?" The lawyer frowns and says, "I don't believe in handouts, but I do believe in hard work." He pulls out a business card. "Come to my house tomorrow at 8 a.m. I'll pay you to do some chores." Surprised but grateful, the man nods. "Be there." The next morning, the homeless man shows up right on time. The lawyer greets him at the door and hands him 2 cans of brown paint and a brush. "Your first job," the lawyer says, "is to go out back and paint my porch." "Sure thing," the man replies. A few hours later, he knocks again. "All done," he says. The lawyer, impressed, hands him $50. "See, doesn't it feel better to earn your money than beg for it?" The man shrugs. "I guess so." Then he pauses. "Oh, and just so you know, that's not a porch. It's a Ferrari." After retiring, Mr. Johnson moved into a quiet condo by the ocean. Every morning over breakfast, he'd gaze out at the water. And every morning, without fail, he'd see the same young man fishing from the dock. Rain or shine, there he was. But what puzzled Mr. Johnson was this. The man never picked the same spot. Some mornings he'd fish from the left side, other mornings the right. Sometimes he'd sit at the very end. Curiosity finally got the better of him. One morning, Mr. Johnson skipped his toast, got dressed, and made his way down to the dock, just as the fisherman arrived. "Excuse me," he said. "I've been watching you for months. Don't worry, not in a weird way. And I've noticed something. Some days you fish from the left, or other days the right, sometimes the end. How do you decide where to fish?" The fisherman chuckled. "Easy," he said. "Every morning I wake up and look at my wife. If she's lying on her left side, I fish from the left side of the dock. If she's on her right, I fish from the right. If she's lying on her stomach, I head to the end." Mr. Johnson blinked. "Huh, that's original. But what if she's lying on her back? The fisherman gave him a sly grin. On days like that, I don't go fishing. This morning, I made a massive mistake during breakfast. My wife suddenly asked, if I died, would you remarry? I blinked. What kind of question is that? It's a beautiful morning. Why are we talking about dying? She gave me the look. Just answer. I hesitated. I mean, I guess maybe. One day, I don't know, maybe. She said. Would you sell the house? No, of course not. I love this house. A few minutes go by. I think we've moved on. Then she says, so you'd let her live in our house? I sigh. I guess so. What about our bed? Would you let her sleep in our bed? I paused, trying to survive this conversation. No, I'd sell the bed. Uh-huh. And the furniture? Would she be sitting in this chair someday? Now I'm getting frustrated. Fine, yes, I'd sell the furniture too. Can we please just eat in peace? Another few minutes pass. I think it's over. Then, out of nowhere, she goes, you wouldn't let her use my golf clubs, right? I explode. No, she's left-handed. A man calls the police in a panic. My girlfriend's gone missing, he says. A patrol car shows up with a male and female officer. They sit him down to get the details. The female officer asks, do you have any idea where she might have gone? The man rubs his chin. Okay, this is going to sound weird, but I think she disappeared into the magic coffee table. The officers exchange a look. The what? The magic coffee table, he insists. Whenever I leave something on it, it vanishes, then reappears somewhere else. He starts ticking things off on his fingers. Takeaway containers? They disappear and end up in the trash. Dirty dishes? Vanish, then reappear clean and stacked in the cupboard. Even my laundry, gone from the floor, and boom, folded on the bed. The female officer stares at him. Oh my God, you're an idiot. No wonder your girlfriend left you. The male officer nods slowly and says, I don't think she left him. I think he's right. I've got the same coffee table at home. A burglar breaks into a home, holding the husband and wife hostage at gunpoint. He forces them to sit back to back on chairs, tying them securely as he begins to methodically steal everything of value in the house. Once he's done, he prepares to leave. But before he can escape, the husband suddenly shouts, Please, untie her. Just let her go. The burglar, staying calm, responds, No, I'm not untying either of you. I need to get away clean, and if I let you go, the cops will be alerted sooner. Trust me, your neighbors will be by to check on you long before you've had a chance to even think about calling for help. The husband panics and pleads again. Just untie her, please. I'll do anything. The burglar shakes his head. Look, I'm just trying to avoid any risk. I can't leave any chance for you to alert the authorities. But the husband, now visibly frantic, starts inching closer to the burglar in desperation. Please, I'm begging you, let her go. She won't call the cops, I swear. The burglar, slightly moved by the man's desperation, pauses for a moment and says, Wow, you must really love her to beg like that? The husband, practically shaking, replies, No, you don't understand. She'll be home in 15 minutes. As the world's population grew over the years, Santa's sleigh got heavier and heavier, requiring more reindeer to pull it. To keep up, Santa hired 2 new reindeer, Lee and Franklin. During their extensive training, everything from physical conditioning to navigational skills, they were also briefed on the list of banned items that couldn't be brought on the sleigh. While going through the list, Franklin noticed something odd. Cement was banned. Curious, he turned to Lee and asked, Hey, why do you think cement is on the banned list? Lee shrugged. No idea. Let's ask the boss. I can't see why anyone would want it. They walked to Santa's office and asked, Hey, Santa, do people actually ask for cement for Christmas? Santa paused from checking his list, looked at them and said, Yes. Every year, there's a small village by a river that floods constantly. They ask for all the cement they can get to build a wall. And every year, I refuse. Franklin and Lee exchanged the confused looks. That sounds like a perfect gift for a village in need. Franklin then asked, But Santa, why ban them from getting cement? That sounds like it could really help. Santa sighed, looked at them both, and said, Frank, Lee, my dear, I don't give out dams. Imagine you were childhood friends with Liam Gallagher, the lead singer of Oasis. You two grew up together and shared an unbreakable bond. like no other friendship. You bonded over many things, but one of your shared hobbies was baseball. You'd play catch, practice your pitches, and even go to pro games together. In high school, both of you tried out for the baseball team and helped carry the team to the championships. It was a fantastic time for both of you. After high school, you both decided to go your separate ways. Liam pursued his musical career, and you followed your own path. There was no guarantee you'd ever see each other again. As a keepsake of your time together, you decided to give Liam the first baseball you two ever played catch with. You threw it over to him, and he caught it, saying, "I'll treasure this forever, and I'll keep in touch." In return, Liam handed you the glove he used. You both shared a heartfelt hug, and Liam took his leave. 5 years later, you hear about a high school reunion coming up. Liam messages you, asking if you'll come. Nostalgic for the good old days, you agree to go. On the day of the reunion, you decide to bring Liam's glove, hoping it'll help him recognize you. You arrive at the venue and start looking around for him. Eventually, you spot him running toward you. He stops about 5 feet away, pulls something out of his bag, and smiles. Remember that baseball you threw to him? Well, today's the day. Liam's about to throw it back to you. Carlos was the proud owner of a luxurious resort in Cancun, Mexico, a business built by 4 generations of his family. It all started in the 1800s when Carlos's great-grandfather arrived from Spain and bought a crumbling little inn with a loan from a businessman back home. Through grit and relentless work, he turned it into a modest bed and breakfast. When he passed, his son took over. He modernized the property, expanded it bit by bit, and made it one of the most respected B&Bs in the region. Sadly, he died of a heart attack at 53, and the inn passed to his son, Carlos's father. Carlos's father shared the same fire. He bought surrounding properties and began transforming the B&B into a full-scale resort. It was on the cusp of greatness when, at 56, he too died of a heart attack. The dream was left in Carlos's hands, and Carlos delivered. Over the decades, he turned that once tiny inn into the most luxurious and sought-after holiday destination in all of Cancun. By now elderly but immensely wealthy, Carlos would spend his afternoons on the veranda, sipping mojitos and greeting guests with a smile. One sunny afternoon, as he relaxed outside, 5 black SUVs suddenly screeched to a halt at the resort entrance. A general in full uniform stepped out, followed by an armed SWAT team. Carlos jumped to his feet, spilling his mojito. "Dios mío, what is going on?" The general strode toward him. "Senor Carlos, this resort is hereby seized by order of the Spanish government. Your great-grandfather's original loan was never repaid. The debt has accrued for over a century. It is now the rightful property of Spain." Carlos stumbled back in disbelief. "What? That loan was generations ago? I've never heard of this. No letters, no emails, no warnings. If someone had just told me, I would have paid it. This resort, this is my family's legacy." The general gave him a cold glare, stepped forward, and shoved Carlos aside. "Senor, get out of the way." Carlos fell to the ground, stunned and heartbroken. "But this isn't right. This is outrageous. This is... The general turned back with a smirk. "Nobody expects the Spanish inacquisition." A small village was plagued by a mischievous demon. It didn't just steal livestock or destroy crops, no. This demon went further. It trampled fields, screamed through the night, blew out candles, pinched babies, flipped dinner tables, broke bowls, and, worst of all, sang off-key on purpose. He was a menace. No one could stop him. Desperate, the village elders hiked to a Buddhist temple deep in the mountains. They fell to their knees before the abbot and begged, "Please help us! Our village is being ruined." The abbot nodded calmly and said, "Not to worry. Tomorrow morning, I'll send someone to take care of it." The next morning, the villagers gathered in anticipation, expecting a troop of solemn monks chanting with gongs and incense. Instead, they saw a single figure skipping down the path, a young Sami, a novice monk, no older than 12, humming a cheerful tune. The villagers stared. "You? You're the one the abbot sent?" The boy nodded. "Yep, I'm here to take care of your demon." One of the elders stammered, But this is a terrifying demon. He ate our ancestors' altar yesterday." The Sami just smiled. No problem. Where is he now? He's still in the temple, chewing on ancestral plaques. Great, thanks, the boy chirped and strolled off toward the temple. Moments later, there was a horrendous screech. The building shook, windows shattered, and then, with a final roar, the demon burst through the roof and vanished over the horizon, wailing like a banshee. The Sami walked out, calm as ever, brushing dust off his robe. The villagers fell to their knees. We're so sorry we doubted you. How did you do it? What secret power did you use? The Sami smiled and said, Oh, nothing special. I just pulled out my donation book. The lion, proud and mighty, decided to throw himself a grand birthday party. Being the king of the jungle, he issued one royal decree. Everyone must bring meat as a gift. Anyone who doesn't gets whacked with my royal stick. The message spread far and wide. The day of the party arrived, and a long line of animals queued outside the lion's cave, each holding their tribute. The wolf brought lamb. The fox carried a chicken. The leopard dragged in an antelope. The lion nodded with approval, greeting each with a regal growl. Then came the rabbit, holding a carrot. The jungle fell silent. The lion glared down. You do know what happens when someone brings vegetables to my party, don't you? The rabbit trembled. But please, Your Majesty, I tried, but I couldn't find any. Whack! The lion smacked him hard. The rabbit went flying, rolled across the ground, got up, and started laughing. The lion squinted. What's so funny? The rabbit wiped tears from his eyes and said, still chuckling, Oh, it's nothing, sire. I just remembered. The hedgehog's right behind me, and he's bringing you an apple. A young couple was eagerly expecting their first child, and they had one rule. They wouldn't name the baby until after it was born. We want to see her first, they agreed. The right name will come to us. When the moment arrived, a beautiful baby girl was born. The mother held her and whispered, teary-eyed, It's Love. That's what I feel, and that's who she is. The father frowned. Love, that's poetic, but kids can be cruel. Maybe something more traditional. Jessica, Jane. They argued for a while. Eventually, the father stepped out for a break, just long enough for the mother to tell the nurse, Put down Love, that's her name. The father came back, saw the certificate, sighed. Fine, I'll love her no matter what. For a while, everything was wonderful. But on her very first day of kindergarten, their daughter came home crying. The other kids laughed at my name, she sobbed, and it only got worse. Elementary school bullies, middle school mockery, high school isolation. Love withdrew, her spark dimmed. Then, one terrible evening, while dinner was cooking, Love walked quietly into the kitchen. She kissed her father on the forehead, gave her mother a cold glare, and went to her room. Moments later, a loud bang echoed through the house. The parents rushed in to find their daughter collapsed on the floor. It was too late. The father turned slowly to the mother, eyes full of pain and fury, and said, Shot through the heart, and you're to blame. Darling, you gave Love a bad name. In a mystical mountain kingdom, there lived a gifted young monk named Sam. His monastery was famed across the land for its soul-stirring choral music. Every day the monks sang from dawn to dusk, their harmonies echoing down into the valley, touching the hearts of all who heard. Sam had a rare gift. His voice shimmered with purity. On his 19th birthday, during a sacred hymn, he hit a note so exquisite that time itself seemed to pause. Farmers froze mid-scythe, children stopped crying, even birds hung motionless in the air. It was magical. That day, the world knew Sam had discovered the fabled first magical note, long theorized by scholars but never before heard. On his 20th birthday, it happened again. The second note. This one deeper, richer, so powerful it brought hardened warriors to tears. By his 21st birthday, the entire kingdom gathered to hear the third note. It was said to cleanse the soul. People wept, embraced, and declared lifelong feuds forgotten. Year after year, Sam unveiled a new note, each more glorious than the last. And then came his 25th birthday, the moment everyone awaited, the seventh note. The hall was silent as Sam stepped forward. He closed his eyes, inhale, sing. But this time, the note was wrong, discordant, sharp, and painful. Sam trembled. Sweat poured down his brow. The tone grew louder, harsher. Then suddenly, boom! Sam exploded. The nearest monks were flung backward in flames. The ancient curtains caught fire, chaos, screams, smoke. The entire monastery burned to the ground. Once the flames subsided and the stunned crowd gathered outside, the mayor turned to the monastery's abbot. What? What just happened? The old monk, eyes full of sorrow, whispered, He sang note 7. A young man to an old man. Sir, if your dog is barking at the back door and your wife is yelling at the front door, who do you let in first? The old man paused, rubbing his chin thoughtfully. He finally let out a sigh and said with a wry smile, The dog, of course. He'll shut up once you let him in. The Smiths had been struggling to conceive and decided to use a surrogate father to start their family. On the day the surrogate was due to arrive, Mr. Smith kissed his wife goodbye and said, Well, I'm off now. The man should be here soon. Half an hour later, by sheer coincidence, a door-to-door baby photographer rang the doorbell, hoping to make a sale. Good morning, he said. I've come to... Oh, no need to explain, Mrs. Smith cut him off, blushing. I've been expecting you. Really? The photographer replied. Well, that's great. Did you know babies are my specialty? That's exactly what my husband and I had hoped. Please, come in and have a seat. After a moment, she shyly asked, Well, where do we start? The photographer grinned. Leave everything to me. I usually start with 2 in the bathtub, 1 on the couch, and sometimes a few on the bed. The living room floor is always fun. Lots of space to work with. Mrs. Smith blushed deeply. Bathtub, living room floor. No wonder things didn't work out for Harry and me. The photographer chuckled. Well, no one can guarantee a perfect shot every time. But if we try a few different positions and I shoot from 6 or 7 angles, I'm sure you'll be pleased with the results. Mrs. Smith gasped. My, that's quite a lot. In my line of work, he said with a wink, a man has to take his time. I'd love to be in and out in 5 minutes, but I'm sure you'd be disappointed with that. Don't I know it? Mrs. Smith whispered under her breath. The photographer then opened his briefcase and pulled out a portfolio of baby pictures. This one was taken on the top of a bus, he said, flipping through the pages. Oh my God, Mrs. Smith gasped, clutching her throat. And these twins turned out exceptionally well, considering their mother was so difficult to work with. Difficult? Mrs. Smith asked, intrigued. Yes, he sighed. I finally had to take her to the park to get the job done right. There were people crowding around, 4 and 5 deep, just to get a good look. 4 and 5 deep? Mrs. Smith's eyes widened with astonishment. Yes, the photographer nodded, and it went on for more than 3 hours. The mother was constantly squealing and yelling. I could hardly concentrate. And when it got dark, I had to rush my shots. Then, when the squirrels started nibbling on my equipment, I just had to pack it all in. Mrs. Smith leaned forward, now thoroughly curious. Do you mean the squirrels actually chewed on your, equipment? Yes, unfortunately, the photographer said. But enough about that. If you're ready, I'll set up my tripod and we can get started right away. Tripod. Oh, yes, he replied. I need to use a tripod to rest my Canon on. It's much too big to hold in my hands for very long. Mrs. Smith fainted. A man found a dusty old lamp, gave it a rub, and out popped a genie. As per tradition, the genie said, You have 3 wishes. The man made his first 2, but they backfired horribly. Furious, he shouted, For my 3rd wish, I wish you would go to hell. Poof! The genie vanished. Moments later, the genie materialized in hell. The devil blinked in surprise. Well, this is new. We've never had a genie down here before. The genie bowed. I suppose you're my new master now. Would you like to make your first wish? The devil's eyes gleamed. Oh, I've been waiting millennia for this. First wish, I want war and disease to ravage humanity and claim millions of souls. The genie said, Granted. COVID-19 swept the globe. Russia rolled into Ukraine. The early tremors of World War III began. The devil clapped with glee. For my second wish, I want the most evil man on earth to get away with all his crimes and keep committing more. Let him inspire countless others, so evil flows into my kingdom forever. The genie said, Granted. Donald Trump was never indicted, and a few years later, re-elected. Now ecstatic, the devil leaned in with a grin. And for my third wish, I want the most evil girlfriend in the world." The genie gave a devilish smile. "Granted." Just then, the devil's phone rang. He answered eagerly. "Hello, my dark queen." A cheerful voice replied, "Hi, I've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty." While out hunting in the royal forest, a duke came upon a curious sight. Tree after tree, each bearing a painted archery target, with an arrow dead center in the bullseye. Amazed, the duke exclaimed, "What master of the bow could have done this? Every shot perfect. I must meet this archer." He and his men pressed deeper into the woods until they came upon a small boy, no older than 10, carrying a simple bow. "Did you shoot those arrows?" the duke asked. The boy nodded shyly. "You didn't walk up and hammer them into the trees, did you?" the duke asked, narrowing his eyes. "No, my lord, I fired them from 100 paces. I swear it on my honor." The duke was astonished. "Incredible! You must come with me. You will serve in my court as royal archer." The boy beamed. "Thank you, my lord. But before we return," the duke said, "you must tell me your secret. How did you learn to shoot so precisely?" The boy shrugged. "Oh, it's easy. First I shoot the arrow at the tree, then I paint the target around it." One Christmas Eve, many years ago, Santa Claus gathered his elves and said, "I'm supposed to start my annual flight in 1 hour, but there are still toys that need to be made and packed into my sack. I need all 7 of my elite toy makers to finish the job." The head elf nervously spoke up. "I'm afraid we have a problem, Mr. Kringle. One of the elites is on vacation and 2 are sick. We only have 4 of the elite toy makers tonight." Santa sighed, his cheeks turning a little redder. "So be it," he said, clapping his hands. "Let's get to work." It took the elves 2 hours to finish the toys. By the time they were done, Santa was already 1 hour behind schedule. With the sack finally packed, Santa hurried to the sleigh. But the sleigh, as always, was old and worn. When he tossed the sack in, it went straight through the rotting wood. Santa grunted, hoisted the sack back out, and rushed to the barn. He returned with a hammer, nails, a saw, and several planks of fresh wood. It took 2 hours to patch the sleigh. By the time he finished, Santa was now 3 hours overdue. He rushed back to the barn to put the tools away and fetch his reindeer, only to find the door wide open. "Oh no!" Santa exclaimed. "The reindeer might have escaped." Inside, he found Dasher, Dancer, and Donner had run off. Worse still, Comet and Cupid were busy giving birth to fawns. Only 3 reindeer remained to pull the sleigh. Santa sent elves off to find the missing reindeer and help Comet and Cupid. He hitched Prancer, Vixen, and Blitzen to the sleigh without incident. But now he needed 5 more reindeer. After much searching, he found Basher, Flasher, Smasher, Rudolph, before his nose lit up, and Fred. But these reindeer had never pulled a sleigh before. It took another 2 hours to get them hitched up. By the time he was ready, Santa was 5 hours behind schedule. Exhausted and frazzled, Santa finally climbed into his sleigh, just about to take off. As he settled in, an angel walked by, carrying a freshly cut Christmas tree. "Good evening, Santa," she greeted him cheerfully. "Where should I put this?" And that, dear friends, is how the tradition of putting the angel on top of the tree began. It was early December and a posh hotel was hosting a large chess convention. The entire ballroom had been rented out, and the first day had gone smoothly. The quarter, semi, and ultimate final rounds were all that remained. As the convention broke for a break, the attendees filed out into the hotel foyer, allowing the staff to clear away the chess tables and set up for the evening's banquet. The round of 16 had been particularly thrilling with many dramatic endgames, and the energy among the players was electric. The 8 quarter-finalists boasted loudly about their victories, and soon the previously quiet ballroom turned into a buzzing hub of excitement, much to the dismay of the other hotel guests. Complaints trickled in until the hotel manager finally emerged, asking to speak with the president of the convention. "Hello there. What seems to be the problem?" the president asked. "I'm afraid I'll have to ask you to quiet down," the manager replied. "You're disturbing the other guests. You and your attendees need to either quiet down or leave until the banquet is ready." "Why?" the president asked, perplexed. "Because," the manager said, "I can't stand having chestnuts boasting in a foyer."